my impetus for this meeting is to dig a little deeper into quantum computing and find out who the players are and what kind of strategies that they're employing to do the task. And of course, there's a Google version of quantum and there's an IBM version of quantum. There are probably 12 different techniques being employed, all of them requiring, most of them requiring what I call the chandelier technology that needs incredibly cold atmospheric temperatures, very, 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 very near the absolute zero temperatures to reduce the amount of instability and getting a qubit not to lose its wave, the collapse, the waveform, and so forth. The particular technique that the PsiQuantum is using is photonic. And I think that struck me as being interesting. Photons, like helium, are very disinterested in being affected by anything. They spin in one direction. The spin of a photon is in one direction, which is why it's massless. As I understand, this is a sidebar, but if I understand how particles interact with the Higgs field, if you basically interact with the Higgs field in such a way that you spin in one direction and then spin in another direction, that's what causes mass to happen. But photons, being that they only spin in one direction, basically get bypassed the Higgs field to a certain extent. I ran across this video. It's a Dr. Ben Miles video, and I want to start with this. And it's talking about some of the processes that quantum, PsiQuantum is using to basically get this process to work with photons, the computational with photons. There is a need to refrigerate or to go cold, but it's only to detect the photons at a specific point in the process. And the level of refrigeration required for the PsiQuantum version of coldness isn't nearly as cold as it's required for other techniques used by other labs and other companies. So I'm going to get this spinned up here. Give me a second. Yes.
I don't understand a lot of what I've read about quantum effects at all. But my understanding of what little I've read is that this is supposed to allow possibilities that we haven't explored. It's a new way of doing computing that's supposed to potentially give some advantages. They talk about quantum computers being able to decode prime numbers, for example, that are used in cryptography very much faster than classical computers? Does that make sense? I guess what I'm asking is, quantum computers are supposed to be this new edge technology that we've sort of been reading or hearing about for what, the last 10 years, is it?
Sure.
Where they could do 1 qubit and then 3 qubits,
Yeah.
and
Now that,
now supposedly they're talking thousands of qubits.
and the target for quantum and several of them is 1 million.
Okay. But this is supposed to be using some of the characteristics of quantum mechanics to um, accomplish the same thing that the classical computers, if you will, have been doing all along, but to allow more processing, faster processing with less, potentially less heat associated with the semiconductor transistors. Is that?
Let me, first of all, this first video is going to be about the PsiQuantum process, and they're going to describe lots of good graphics in this, the technique for doing quantum computing with photons. But I have another video which gets into why quantum computing is important for the future of engineering, materials, biosciences, and so forth. It's all those things that are going to be discussed later on. So let me get this thing rolling, and we can.
Yeah, let me a quick question, because David just said less heat, but if you're getting down to near absolute zero, okay, that's less heat, but you have to do that refrigeration, correct?
Yeah, I'm not sure that the amount of I don't have the numbers for the heat required to make something cold, in quotes. And the fact
Well,
Calories and BTUs, but yeah, it's simple
the
math.
fact that normal computers get hot just by using the technology of running electrons through semiconductors, that's a different deal there. But
Yeah, I'm getting it. If you can get it down near 0 Kelvin, it won't produce heat on its own. It's like a sperm in a sperm bank. You just inject something similar. Am I David's shaking his head, correct me.
okay, so let's go
the
with
temperature is a measure of the amount of heat. Essentially, they're sucking the heat out of the matter when they're trying to use quantum mechanical properties. And quantum mechanical properties are not intuitive.
No, they're not.
Okay, let's get rolling on this just a second, please.
My understanding is that there are a couple of different architectures for photonic computing. Some can operate near room temperature, but many are cryogenic, which requires superconduction. So you do have to cool it down to under 4 Kelvin.
I think that I recall them saying only because they have to do a specific point during the process, they have to detect the presence of single photons. and then it has to be cold to do that detection, to get the results of the output. It's all described in this video. So let's get going with it. Well, that's a lot, I realize, but I hope that you can see that there's a lot going on and maybe a lot more to figure out. But it seems that, and by no means am I the expert on this. You can probably imagine this is way over my head. But I found it so intriguing, I thought I would share it with you and give you a chance to get a glimpse at what's going on. And I do think that he did a good job, and the animation team did a good job of visualizing the intricacy of the process. Dean.
Yeah. Okay, Tom, you go ahead. I'll collect my thoughts.
Okay, I just wanted to say that basically the speed of light will tell you how big their computers have to be, because light travels in a vacuum at a speed of 1 foot per nanosecond. And through a wire, it's about 8 inches per nanosecond.
Yep.
So that's why they have, computers that are about, what, look like 10 feet by 10 feet or something like that. By 10 feet.
Yeah, I'll put my hand back up if you're done.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
I
what I
think
want.
it's like, I think when you look at yourself in the mirror and you're standing about 3 to 4 feet from the mirror, you're seeing yourself, what's 3 to 5 nanometers later than you're projecting
Nanoseconds,
yourself.
yeah.
Go ahead, Dean.
Yeah, so there were a couple of glimmers of recognition to my aging brain in there. And yeah, one was, I use tools to measure distances and find breaks in fiber optic lines that you could see. You could use them as a toothpick, right? But yeah, he was talking about much, much, much narrower fiber optic, so that the propagation speed is close enough, and it doesn't matter as long as they're both the same, right? And then that thing about going through the little curlicue and then changing it, and it reminded me of what I learned about cell phones: TDMA versus CDMA, code division multiple access, which was Qualcomm, etc., and TDMA, which was ATME, time division. And then they can put them back, so they can say, oh, all right, now we're going to use this encoding method, and then we can turn it back into whatever their term was for the 2-wire versus the 1-wire. But yeah, so they're doing it by just minutely delaying the time of that photon pulse or whatever. But yeah, it's fascinating stuff. It's 20 years away at least, but it is fascinating.
And I think that they're also demonstrating that scaling up from just to a number qubits that you can use 2 hands to count. Of course, they're up to 1,000. I think, I don't know who's got the highest qubit rate right now. IBM, maybe it's Google, maybe it's some of the other companies. They're getting up there with their qubits in terms of the capacity for their computation, but almost all of them unanimously are claiming that thousands to millions of qubits are where you need to be to achieve the kind of research goals that the world is kind of wanting to happen with this kind of computing.
Yeah, and to Tom's point about his 4K threshold, and you realize what these guys were talking about was 2K, and saying that's 100 times hotter than some technologies that want it in the 10th or 100th of a K. So yeah, yeah. You're at the cutting edge of all right, Tom?
Well, the fact that they only have to go down to 2K makes it easier than having to go down to within hundreds of zero.
Yeah, that's like Spinal Tap. 11 is better than 10. Yeah, 2K is a heck of a lot. I mean, magnitudes of orders of magnitude, I would think, when trying to reach. Yeah, I mean, no, that's if they can reliably do it at 2K, that's probably doable.
I had briefly forgotten what I was going to say, but now I remembered again. The reason why you need, why it's helpful to have large arrays of qubits is basically for error checking.
Right.
You normally don't use just one qubit to store one bit of information. You have arrays, and that they have different architectures to determine how big that array should be in order to have a high enough probability that that bit is in the right state, plus or 1 or 0 basically. And so the fact that they can scale this up to maybe millions of qubits will mean that they can do very complicated computations with a very high probability of it, very low error rates, put it that way.
Yep, and it is a probability game, isn't it? Because photons are a probability game. Electrons are a probability game, and yeah, if you can get the probability high enough, an engineering approximation that becomes science, then yeah. But it is absolutely fascinating, Stan.
Tom?
Real quick, I posted the links to that company and that guy on Wiki. Yeah, very interesting.
I
Tom?
just wanted to comment that the Sears Tower, for over 15 years now, it was renamed the Willis Tower. It's interesting that people still call it the Sears Tower.
Well,
And that's interesting that, with our
I call it the
president
Kennedy
renaming
Center.
everything.
I don't call it the Trump Kennedy Center. So
Right, exactly. I was just going to say that with our current president renaming everything after himself, it's hard to say if that will actually catch on and persist for a long time, or if that will, if the old name will come back.
yeah, I know people, Chicagoites. I got a good friend who has Minnesota roots and Chicago roots. He's in Chicago right now, dodging tornadoes, or Illinois. And yeah, it's the Sears Tower. I don't care what you name it. It is the Sears Tower.
Or the
Even though
Gulf,
Sears barely exists.
the Gulf of Mexico.
It's the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah, you can have two names. You guys call it Myanmar or Me and My Shadow. I call it Burma. It's the same people, the same country. Yeah.
Yeah, a little off topic, but I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I'm glad you caught that point, because I love Chicago. Growing up in Minneapolis, I went to Chicago two times when I was a kid. In 6th grade, on a train. Those are the good old days. You hopped on a train and you went to Chicago and went to all of the sites. And somehow we came home alive. And I saved my money to help pay for that Chicago trip. That was a highlight.
So you have another video, Stan? You're muted.
This one's called "It's Possible Until It's Not."
How long?
4 minutes. I think that particular video engages in the vision for why quantum computing is important in terms of, I mean, I watched another video last night about being able to see things at small and large scales. It's kind of part of the, it's people like, Jim Ala-Kahili. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He's a Surrey guy. He's a Brit. He's actually, but it's a great series on the magics of being able to visualize. They talk about being able to look through a microscope and see bugs and have that, and to be able to document that, and then being able to see through more powerful microscopes and electron microscopes, and the fact that when we have an idea of what an atom is and how it's formed, being able to see something, being able to understand what these spaces are like, is critical to being able to understand the interactions and how to engage them. And this is the engineering technology that not only gives us the chance to see what's going on, but to engage with how they function, and to be able to explain why they do what they do, and to understand the causations. And that's where I think you can start to see advancements in the final technology. And then that ripples out towards economy.
Yeah, my hand's up. David was shaking his head. Go ahead, David.
It really is rocket science.
Yeah. And I'm waiting for Carol to pipe in. But he mentioned chemistry, which is, they're really talking biochemistry. And this is an aside. I don't know how many more hours of videos you got. Lupus disease, you heard of it. It's a bad thing if you get it. And they are working on doing a customizable therapy. They take it's all in trials now, and the lucky 1/100th of 1% will get it. But they're taking what you have done to your immune system, or what Darwin has done to it, and then it takes about 2 weeks to build a designer drug. And it's a freaking miracle. But it's a treatment. It's not a cure. There is no cure for lupus. And a good day on lupus is every bone in your body aches. A bad day is you die.
That was uplifting.
No, it's uplifting in the fact that there is hope for the future, right? We're talking about the future. And
Lupus is not completely understood yet, is it? It's a
no, that's the problem.
malfunction of your immune system.
It's autoimmune. Your immune system
Yes.
attacking your immune system.
Right.
And no, they do not know why, but they have a possible treatment, not a cure by any means, but a possible treatment.
But our understanding of our immune systems is progressing.
Oh, yes, it is. Big time.
There's a balance point. It has to do at least well enough, and lupus it's doing too well.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, and you know, it's a combination of heredity, diet, exercise, how much uh, meditation you do. You know, who knows? They don't know.
Well, we are learning.
Isn't that the
There,
whole?
there's a balance point. The cure for lupus will be to take your immune system back to that balance point.
And that is what they can now do experimentally with this designer medication. Yep. And
Yeah. So it's a brute force solution, perhaps, when a better understanding of your immune system might allow you to reach that balance point by taking away the characteristics that forced your immune system into that off balance,
but
into that extensive function.
right, but it's also a lab experiment, and these people say, "Yeah, I'm a lab rat, and I'm happy to be a lab rat because I'm a happy lab rat." Yeah, exactly.
Well,
They are
yeah.
learning. This is extremely experimental, but it's how we learn how our amazing immune system works and doesn't work.
But this is kind of an offshoot from Stan's.
It is, Stan. Yep. Sorry.
Well, not to join into I'm actually suffering from a balance issue. And I've been doing some research recently on vestibular situations.
Welcome to the club, Stan. I'm the expert on balance issues.
And the whole idea of, they claim that astronauts, when they go into space, have the same issue with seasickness or motion sickness as people that get on ships do, because your vestibular system is reacting to gravity and is trying to center yourself and so forth. And that sense of nausea is when your visual and your vestibular are out of sync. And that's when you start to get nauseous. I think that's a good background. I realize I'm walking a narrow line here of being boring, but
Yeah, Stan, either my timer or my cat's, that was a long 6 minutes.
no, that was 25. I didn't say
Oh,
six.
okay. I heard 6, but all right, never mind. It was
That's
fast.
maybe
Six was the one before.
Prior one was 6. This one was 25.
I sit corrected.
But I think that he's kind of maybe created the more atmospheric discussion around what's going on. And I think maybe I didn't know how to sequence this presentation. I didn't know whether I should hit you with a snowball first and then explain why I threw it, or explain to me why I'm going to throw a snowball at you and then get you the snowball.
Yeah, and I couldn't see his name on the screen. I was wicking all the other guys, but I couldn't see his name. What is his name? This brilliant guy from England, I guess.
Terry Rudolph, like,
Rudolph, like the red-nosed reindeer.
yeah.
All right.
And his colleague, who was obviously a teammate, who was feeding him the questions. It's like,
No, I wikied him. He's a yeah.
It's like the coach at the bottom
He
of
doesn't work for the company, but
the coach at the bottom of the net, throwing the ball back out to Caitlin Clark so she can swish another one.
exactly. Great analogy.
Tom,
They mentioned that quantum computing will be useful in the climate challenge. because it's a very complicated system, climate and weather and all that. Unfortunately, it's part of its usefulness will only is dependent on the quality of the data it has to work with. And currently we're trying to destroy all that data, it seems, or all the data collecting possibilities. So the anti-science agenda of this current administration is kind of working against a lot of the things that people like Terry Rudolph are trying to do.
I know, and the irony of Trump connecting with somebody like a brilliant mind like Elon Musk, and then throwing effing science out the window is beyond ironic. I don't have a word for it.
But I think he made a good case of why 1 million qubits is a good starting place.
And he mentioned the error correction, but he also talked about being able to have flexible multiple processes happening at the same time, so that you're not just creating a calculator, you're creating a computer that can do a symphony of different kinds of.
That was a great analogy. This guy is, I love this guy. Yeah, he said, a calculator, that'll solve some problems, but it ain't a computer.
Dan, I might have missed it. I stepped away for a minute, but did you do anything on like what China's doing with this topic? Because I understand they're way ahead of us.
Well, China's entry into this didn't come up in my research.
Okay.
I think I don't deny that there's something going on there, but and I'm not trying to say that they're not at the same level. They might be at kind of a similar level with a different process, but I don't know. The answer is I don't know.
Okay.
Dean.
Where
Yeah.
had you heard that they're way ahead of us, Doug?
It was on one of the things that I look at. It's I don't know. It was just on the internet.
Yeah,
And-
well,
and-
lots of things are.
This is absolutely 100% true.
Well, it's I've watched so many videos of all the amazing things they seem to be doing there, and the number of engineers they have versus us, and it just it makes sense that that could be a very true statement.
But
Right.
and I got my hand up. There you go. Yeah, and of course China is doing, that's a given, but, and this will sound political, and it is, they are doing it 90% with stolen information and then giving it to their brilliant engineers. And David is shaking his head.
Certainly, they are happy to
Borrow.
borrow.
They are the experts at borrowing.
Mhm.
In LA, they call it non-mainstream shoplifting, as in catch and grab. Alternate, what do they call? There's a name for that. They literally use that. Oh, these guys aren't hoodlums. They're just alternate shoppers.
Well, but they're also trying to develop the expertise and the engineering capability to originate. And if you look at the patents that are being produced worldwide, and if you look at the scientific research magazines and who's writing the articles,
I know.
they've come a long way in the last 20 years.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have.
Oh, they're not stealing it all anymore.
That's a fact.
And okay, I'll rephrase that. They're borrowing, as all brilliant people have done, borrowed from Newton or whatever, and then made it their own. And yes, they are doing that.
They also talked about the fact that a lot of their people are educated in the United States and then go back home and
Exactly. Berkeley is a farm for Chinese PhDs.
No, it used to be. The current administration is,
Trying to put the kibosh on that.
yeah,
Well, I think that America wanted China to participate in the glories of democracy. And so we funded them a
Yeah.
lot to do the things that we wanted them to do, but not come to the head of the class and outthink us on how to get Nobel laureates. We wanted to sort of segment them, so we funded Apple's been pouring what, $11 billion into China for the last, I don't know how many years, to make them better at making phones and making products and so forth. But don't figure out how ASML is creating these lithography machines. Don't cut the science with something that's more brilliant than what we can do.
Carol has her hand up. I think David is next.
I think I was behind David.
No, I think you were ahead of me, but that's okay.
I see you as Carol. I see you as being ahead. But David,
Zoom says you're ahead of me, and I believe Zoom. So ahead of David. Sorry.
Go ahead, Carol.
Well, I noticed that these people, the Psi people, are basing the substrate on which they are creating their
Chips.
quantum stuff is the silicon wafer
Yep.
substrate.
Yep.
And the big people in that area are the Taiwanese.
Yep.
Ones who are producing
TSMC.
the biggest and the bestest.
Yep. Which is why China wants Taiwan.
Which is in Taiwan.
Yep. That's part of the article.
Well, what that does is it makes the Americans more interested in hanging on to the Taiwanese connection, and the Chinese more interested in acquiring it for themselves. And that's likely to escalate things.
Likely inevitable.
Hey, David?
We've sort of thrown China, we've sort of talked around China. China, I'm sure, is as interested in photonics as PsiQuantum is. And China is as interested in quantum computing as PsiQuantum is. But it's not real obvious yet that a quantum computer will perform the way they're hoping that it will. That part we're sort of, we're taking it on faith that it will give us a better tool to understand quantum mechanics. Maybe.
Well, it's a tool to make AI smarter also.
Tom,
In China, development of quantum computing is part of their current 5-year plan.
Yep.
And currently they have a couple pretty good quantum computers. There's a 105 qubit processor that they have, and one that's 70 something. And they're kind of their track is to commercialize these things. And they're going to grow them and improve them as they do that, but they don't seem, at least at this point, on using them necessarily for basic research, but for other kinds of applications. As far as photonic computers, they're developing those on their own too. They have, I'm just looking this up right now. They have something called the Zhuzhang series. And that is an optical quantum computer that they're developing, Zhuzhang 4.0. So they've been working on this for a while. Currently has up to over 3,000 qubit states. So we're not near they're not near 1 million yet, but I think they're going to get there pretty fast. So they're trying to develop these things too.
Tom, one of the things they mentioned is that they're worried about the security, that, you know, the ability of the computers to break various codes and stuff. And so it'll be so difficult in the future. Supposedly, one person has developed a process where if you break that line of computing, it'll automatically shut down the system. That's his idea of stopping it from happening. But in general, they said, you know, banking codes, military codes, everything is susceptible now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and we're raising hands, so my hand is raised. But
well,
yeah,
I'm just responding because he responded to me.
Yep.
yeah.
I talked about that a week ago in my presentation on AI, that Anthropic's Claude, one version of Claude, is so good at finding flaws in other systems and exploiting them that they've withheld it from the market for temporarily.
Yep.
So, and that's not a quantum computer, but that's another thing that has China concerned. And I mentioned at that time that this is another reason for, because this Anthropic system is built on chips from Taiwan. It's another reason for China to take over Taiwan if they can.
Yep.
So it's
Yeah.
not only science and technology, but the political sphere also.
Yeah.
I've got one more video for 6 minutes. Can I get that squeezed in?
Yeah, real quick, and those are, yeah, but real quick, you know, Stan, you said, oh, we're going to turn China into a democracy. Think Tiananmen Square. It's that Think Hong Kong.
I think that, but also think about what Shenzhen and what some of the cities look like now compared to what they look like 20
I
years
don't give a RA what they look like.
Okay, thanks, Dean. Okay, here we go. So I'm assuming that you know who the gentleman was that he was talking to. That's the CEO of NVIDIA.
I know nothing. I don't do those people.
CEO of what?
NVIDIA.
Oh, that the guy in the camo shirt was NVIDIA.
Guy on the left end.
Guy on the.
Oh, the guy on the left was
The
NVIDIA.
leather jacket, the black leather jacket.
I got you.
That speaker sound, it somehow reminded me a little bit of our friend Elon.
Well, the aesthetic of the black leather jacket seems to be kind of prominent amongst
Yeah.
the billionaires.
Yeah.
It's kind
And,
of like that Theranos gal. She learned how to do the Steve Jobs, the turtle.
oh yeah, it's all social media now. And Carol, close your ears. I saw some brilliant silicon tar pit jacking each other off. You know, that was my take on that, but that was just maybe my take. But they're all brilliant people. Who was the guy on the right? The guy that was speaking in the green shirt.
That was Pete Shadbolt from
PsiQuantum.
PsiQuantum.
Oh, yeah, right. He was a PsiQuantum guy. Yeah. No, it's very interesting.
Well, and I think that particular video was about a year previous to the "we're building it" video that we saw before.
Yeah, I didn't see a date on there, but
Yeah, and that's the problem. Stan will send me fascinating videos from 15 years ago, but the people are already dead. But you know, they're still fascinating. I'm sorry the guy is dead.
I look at the duration of those videos, and I also look at the time, how many years ago they were done.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to get a timestamp on those.
That'll all be done. This will all these videos will be in the video that I prepare for this talk on
Yep.
YouTube. I'm done now. I've got probably some lunch situations to take care of, but
yeah, it is afternoon.
We just got to all go see that movie this weekend that is going to tell us the story of everything, right?
Which movie is that?
Oh, it's the one, God, no, I forget the name. It's Steven Spielberg's, he's been,
Oh,
yes,
oh,
it sounds really interesting.
Yes, it does.
there was one video that I saw this week that I would like to suggest. I think I sent it out to my 6 or 8 people it's about Anthropic and their participation in the mythos and in the attempt by PsiQuantum, or not PsiQuantum. Anthropic is trying to be the star student in the AI group that's actually trying to do guardrails and do something right with AI. And I think Tom Walsh just presented a nice discussion about grades. They did a test. Tom, do you want to talk about that? The test that they did for AIs that can do humanity-based decision making, and Grok scored very low.
Oh yeah, yeah. They had all these different systems run a city or almost a civilization to see how they would do after a certain amount of time, and Grok basically destroyed humanity within 4 days.
Right.
And the reason they said that is because of the way Grok is trained. It's basically trained on garbage from the internet.
Exactly. And wasn't it Anthrop/ick that warned about the evils and dangers of AI at the same time trying to make it beneficial? It's like Standard Oil and Ford saying, oh, we're going to pollute the planet and you may all die, but you will be able to drive to the store. So,
on the flip side, Anthropic's system did great. They developed a civilization that was where everyone did well.
Who is Grok? Is that Google?
That's Musk.
Of course it is. Evil incarnated yeah, evil
Of course,
incarnated.
we're able to talk about it because Eric Hand's not here, but that's we would be getting stiff resistance if Eric were still here. I basically
You can't
was
debate the facts.
I was basically a Musk person until he bought Twitter, and then I realized that he was getting out of his space.
But you still own Tesla stock, so put your money where your mouth is, Sam.
Well, hey, it's complicated, Dean, and I'm going to tell you.
I understand that.
I have been living with irony. I've been living with irony since I was a minister's son whose father was a chaplain and a minister. Irony is in my blood.
Yeah, me too. And we will all compromise our beliefs for our well-being.
That
Sometimes
movie I was talking about is called Disclosure Day, by the way.
Disclosure Day.
Yeah.
I can't wait till it comes on Netflix or Prime or whatever. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to let this meeting go, but I'm going to check in.
Good presentation, Stan. Really interesting.
Fantastic.
Yeah, well,
I was going to the gym for my brain.
yeah, well, it's all going to be in everything's. I mean, PsiQuantum, you just got to look it up. There's lots of stuff on there about it. And when Tom was talking about quantum computing, I was already circulating this one in my brain, and I thought, yeah, let's just get this up and get talking about it, kind of thing.
And real quick, Stan, PsiQuantum, when I wikied it, is a private company.
You know, I think that you were talking about a company that wants to stay in Europe or stay in England.
Oh, that was another one you sent me.
That was a different company. They're doing
totally. I'm
doing
just
photonic.
asking a question. Is PsiQuantum? Wiki said it was a private company, as in I can't go out and buy stock today on E-Trade.
probably you can't go out and buy stock in Anthropic today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So a lot of them have gotten their bootstrapped by various grants. And
VCs, VEC grants, vulture capitalists, VCs, vulture capitalists. And they're good vultures. Vultures are one of the most useful birds on the planet.
What's next week's, David?
Eric Hand is going to be talking about supplements for diet.
Uh-oh.
Consumerlabs.com.